Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Autodidact morning vlog.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I will be your host, Autodidact, and I'm just gonna preface this with, if in the duration of watching this show you think to yourself, man, this seems very improvised and that he didn't plan this at all, I assure you, very planned. It is not the case that I'm improvising this at all, not ad-libbed. Totally have a big old plan, to even have a book to show that so on the money, and it's not like the sun was going down and I didn't have any content for the day and went up a mountain to go film something. If it appears like that to you, you are deluded and wrong. You know, this has been in the works for weeks so far. Weeks. So without further ado, get to the whatever's gonna come after this, which is obviously planned, and I know. Let's get tropical, like and subscribe, and yeah. Next clip, baby. Alright, we're gonna call that enough B-roll. Let's hope that's enough for all the title sequences. My shoulder's hurting. Why do I do these things? Alright, so I don't know if you could tell, but this is gonna be a touch improvised. We're gonna go up that mountain. Not the far one, but like the really near one that's only like 500 meters from here. Or we can pretend it's that one to make this vlog like way more adventuresome. You know what, let's do that. Let's do like a fake time lapse. Hold on. All right guys, hour one of our 3-day trek up the mountain. Wash supplies high, spirits are good. Let's get tropical. Okay, it's nightfall now. As you can see, pitch black. Not like I'm holding my camera over the lens. Ready for day 2 tomorrow. It's gonna be a long one, boys. Let's stay tropical. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the next day, as is evidenced by the change of clothes. Don't look at the jack in the background. Spirits a little bit down, hydration level adequate. Just 37 more kilometers to go. Whew. 36 hours in. Food supply, it's short. Hydration level still adequate. Running low. Sun, it's going down, you can tell right there. Oh, it's so dark. Oh, all right, I'll see you guys in the morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, day number 3 of our hike. Spirits are so low. Totally ran out of food yesterday. All I can hear is the Rocky Balboa theme sound in the background, urging me on. Ba 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 da da. Don't quit, keep going. Don't quit when you're down. Keep going.
You're never done. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Stay hard.
Okay, David Goggins, I will. Bonjour, mon petit croissant. And cut. Let's go, baby. It's got to be at least a good, that's almost a good vlog right there. That was a lot of effort. Honestly, that took like 45 minutes to film. We actually went a decent distance. In that time, my gimbal ran out. This is gonna be shaky from here on out, but let's round this vlog out with some actual science or math or whatever I'm gonna talk about. I was reading a book on Einstein this morning. I liked it a lot. I'm thinking we're gonna talk about that because I brought it in here. It's actually a pretty good book. I'm gonna set this up so it's not all shaky. I'm gonna take this off as well. Probably shouldn't have that on. It's the kind of content you switch to porn to when your mom comes in because she's like, what the fuck? What are you watching, Gerald? Like, oh, it's just this dude talking about Einstein with some underwear on his head, Mom. Don't worry about it. Then she sends you to like military school. She's like, well, he's obviously going down the wrong path. Anyway, we have the book about Subtle is the Lord, Albert Einstein's friend, Abraham Pace, written in 1980, and it's about Einstein. Very interesting philosophy on this Einstein guy. Holy cow. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of him, but apparently he's pretty smart. Frankly, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know like the length of Einstein's goatedness because he's a very popular figure and the public will take stuff out of proportion sometimes, and like he's the, you know, it is kind of disproportionate because like Maxwell should be known a lot more because that guy's just a freaking goat as well, but he's not really known in the public eye. Like Newton, Einstein, Maxwell is kind of, he's not there, but Maxwell in my eyes is like as good, man. Plus Maxwell's Scottish, so shout out to the Scots, baby. Scotland the brave, dude. They got a lot of good songs. Love the bagpipe. Anyway, we got Einstein. Here's Einstein at like 17-year-old, kind of looking like a Giga Chad right there. Look at just the, he's seeing it, dude. He's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change physics. Okay, but actually, I had something to say here. When I was reading this morning, I went to the hot tub in the hotel we're staying at because we're doing the coal mining thing, coal miner's gambit. Whenever I read the stuff I don't understand, which is almost always because you should be reading stuff you don't understand to understand it later, I get a little worried. I'm trying to work with that actually because it used to be worse, but now it's kind of like just accepting that you know nothing, and you probably will always know very little relative to the stuff there is to know.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You gotta accept that fact and be pragmatic and work with what you got. Better to know something than to know nothing, so learning some math is better than learning no math. Even if you want to learn all the math, it's gonna be damn near impossible. I mean, you know, unless we have like genetic modifications or something and we all turn into Megamind. But Albert Einstein, effectively the thing I kind of had this morning, this kind of realization was that it was the same vibe as history. Now, I'm not as far along in physics as I am in history, even though I've learned more physics than history. History, you can pick up the trend a lot easier because it's a lot more intuitive. Physics and math are very hard to learn, so this effect doesn't happen. But the effect I'm talking about, the thing that I noticed a similarity between history and physics and every other field is that you kind to pick up some trends. I noticed when I was reading history, I read about 5 history books, and you gotta pick and choose because a lot of history books are just utterly fake and propaganda and whatnot. But when you really dive down to it, you can find some good, just saucy history books on, there's methods of finding like real, like hard-hitting stuff, as aside the point. Anyway, I dove in, and after a while, you kind of pick up these trends of like how history goes. So when you read a new book, it's kind of like, yeah, and then okay, this guy's gonna do this. All right, yeah, and then, well, of course this dude does that for the power, and then of course they conquer this place, and then they, you know, rape and pillage, and history's a bloodbath, by the way. We've come a long way, man. Human history's I mean, even modern history's brutal. I'm gonna get myself sad here. Whatever. Anyway, you gotta pick up these trends. You pick up these sort of broad scale like patterns that emerge, and that just kind of takes a while. They're not like literal patterns, just kind of like cognitive frameworks you put on stuff where it's like, yeah, okay, now this guy's gonna probably organize an army and then go over there, and then this person's gonna set up trade, and then the economy's gonna do this thing kind of, and the level you can get with that intuition is like boundless. You can just keep getting better with that intuition, but there is an initial kind of beginner gains that you get, which is phenomenal. And so now when I pick up a history book, it's not utterly confusing. Even if it's in like ancient Sumeria, which I've read nothing about, I can still kind of figure out what they're gonna do. Like, it's just humans doing human stuff. And physics is now, I'm just kind of getting to that threshold where it's like, it's just physicists doing physicist stuff. There's certain trends that emerge. It's like, here's this phenomenon that occurred, and we searched the available mathematics to try to represent this phenomena. We just took something in the physical universe and we said, let's make this something we can deal with on paper. And it's really pragmatic. You start realizing that it's not as terrifying as you think, because they don't even really know what they're doing. They're just like, look, we have this math, and we're gonna represent this physical phenomenon with this math. We don't know if it, I mean, that's us. We just made this shit up, but it's just like, this seems to really well represent a lot of stuff. This math here represents this physical phenomena. So we're gonna kind of just tie the two together and say that like ball goes through the air, it's represented by a function, a continuous function, which in fact is not true when you look at it because there's a Planck length. Reality is discrete. There's a certain finite length you can move, but it's discrete. So it's not a continuous line. When you throw a ball, you can actually zoom in. It's actually gonna be really chunky because it's traveling these discrete lengths we've discovered. But again, that's kind of speculative. We don't for sure knowing there's something else going on at that level because it's just really, really tiny. But regardless, it's not a perfect model. It's just a model. We said, look, we have this continuous thing, and it pretty much acts like a continuous curve. Like when you throw a ball up, those Planck lengths are so damn tiny that it doesn't really matter to us on this level, but they're there. And so our continuous graph is not going to be an actual accurate representation of our thing. It's just a pragmatic one. And you can say that for every single thing physically. It's like, it's just a human representation, and there's probably going to be some fudge factor there that we're not seeing, or that is we don't really care about because it's too small. But that's what physics is. It's just kind of like, okay, let's come up with a language to describe the stuff we're seeing, and once we have it in mathematical language, we can then manipulate that mathematics to discover other things that may or may not be true. So you have some physical thing represented by math we know already. There's some math over here that we've already developed. We know it really well. It's all logical and whatnot. And we have this physics that we just like, oh, this could probably be represented by this thing. And then once we take this physical situation, or a ball being tossed, we represent it with this mathematics, and then with this mathematics, and then we now have all the machinery to work with this mathematics. We didn't have any machinery to operate with this, but we said, look, we're gonna represent this thing. I'm talking too fast, but it's exciting stuff. Now we have that thing represented as math. We're gonna take this math and then do stuff with it. And when we do stuff with it, we're like, now we do this, we're gonna, like, I don't know, logically, now that we have this mathematical structure, of course, this thing would be a logical consequence of something being this mathematical structure. And then we check reality to see if that actually is the thing that could be derived. So we have like, you know, thing, mathematics to represent that thing, logical deduction from that mathematical representation, and then we go back to the thing to check if that's actually true. And a lot of time it's not, because our mathematical models are not perfect. But sometimes they are, and it leads us to novel physical discoveries. Just like, I mean, I think particle physics is a lot of that, where they have the math, they're like, this thing theoretically should exist. Let's test if it actually does, and it turns out to exist. Sometimes. Anyway, that's math. That's Albert Einstein. Didn't have anything to talk about Albert Einstein today, but it's getting dark. You can probably tell I'm in a forest, and I kind of want to get down the mountain now, because it's a little dark. So that's gonna be all. We made a vlog. Let's get tropical. I love y'all. Take it easy. Godspeed. And I'll see you in the next one, which is gonna be tomorrow.
Being no concern, point of no return. Go forward and reverse. This I will recall.
Do it for the vlog.